So when I was a kid, my father had a 1983 Firebird. He bought it when I was 4 years old. He bought it new. Couldn't afford it. He loved it though, and he did everything possible to keep it. There were always car magazines laying around the house. Road and Track, Car and Driver, Motor Trend, and it got to the point where I enjoyed looking at these magazines when he wasn't around. At some point, the pictures were no longer enough. I needed to know more about what I saw in these photographs, and so I started reading the magazines, and I became very enamored with cars at a young age. That eventually, I guess, led to my obsession with Ferrari. I was pretty enamored with Ferraris pretty early on. I remember being 22 maybe, meeting up with some guys from Ferrari Chat. We met up at Ferrari of Central New Jersey, and I saw in this dealership cars that I had only seen pictures of on the internet, cars that were built up as just these dream cars that you would never see, people hardly owned. There were Lamborghinis there that I had never seen before, only in pictures, and this was a Ferrari dealership. There were multiple 333 SPs, I had never seen one. There was a gaggle of F40s, there were a couple of F50s, and then this was early 2000s, so they had some 360s and 360 Spiders and so on. And I remember just seeing that many Ferraris in one place and realizing that they were accessible even to a guy like me on a limited, basis, but I could still go see them. I could go to a racetrack and hear them. I could meet people. Somebody would give me a ride in a car and I would be able to feel it. I realized that I could be closer to the cars if I just spent more time around those cars and those people. I eventually heard that the Ferrari Market Letter was looking for an employee. Wayne Osbrooks tipped me off about it. I applied, and after a week-long interview, I was hired. And from there, things kind of just took off. I was going to different events, Cavallino, Monterey. When I first started working at the Ferrari Market Letter, Gerald Rausch gave me the lay of the land of his database, and whenever I'd go to a car show or an event, I would add to it. After a couple of years, I realized that the notes that I was sending him on each car were abridged by the time they made it into their final copy into the database. And stories that I had heard from owners or other people were not making it in, so I decided to keep my own separate Enzo database that included those extemporaneous notes that I was recording. That's what led to my whole database. At some point recording the Enzos, I realized that if I wanted to record all Ferrari Enzos and I wanted it to be as accurate and complete as possible, I realized that I could not only record Enzos, and I had to record all Ferraris, so that when somebody said, hey, this serial number is not an Enzo, I think it's a this or that, I could say, no, actually it definitely is an Enzo because of this, or I could say, no, it definitely is not an Enzo because I have a picture of it and it's confirmed, whatever. I realized that was the only way to have the most complete and most accurate Enzo database, was to record all Ferraris. And then it kind of just took off from there. The excitement that I had for recording Enzos and Enzo VINs, it grew, and that excitement is still just as intense for anything else. For a new 812, for a wrecked 308, for a Lusso nobody's seen in 30 years, it doesn't matter. I love adding any Ferrari, irrespective of its condition or its price or its location or its mileage. I love adding them all to the database. So now, almost 20 years later, my database, it's large. It has more than 100,000 Ferraris in it. I wouldn't say it's the largest in the world. There are other people whose databases have more cars in them. Mine certainly is the meatiest in that I have the most information per car. I don't just record interior and exterior color and plates and mileage and location. I need to record everything. If I see a bottle of water in the center console, I'm going to record it in the database along with the brand, and if it's half full or full, if I see a pack of cigarettes or lighter or magazine, it's going into my notes. Everything goes into my notes. So now, as a text-only file, my database, after I compress it, it is just over a gig in size. And hopefully that tells everybody how big it actually is. The images portion of my database is far larger. I have literally tens of thousands of Ferrari pictures. They're all specified by serial number in a specific folder with literally more than 10,000 subfolders in it to keep track of cars by year, by serial number, by model. I think it's close to 1/4 of a terabyte in size, just the images. When I first started doing this, it was seen as weird and off-putting. A lot of the people at the time who were doing this almost 20 years ago were focused on specialty cars, limited edition cars, and vintage cars, 250 GTOs, F40s, 400 Super Americas, stuff of that nature. And I thought the only way to do it and the best way to do it was to record everything. Everything. Everything that leaves Maranello should be recorded. And so that's what I started doing. And along the way, I have made some incredible relationships. I have made friends with people from literally all over the world. There are people on 6 continents who send me Ferrari information. Some send it every single day. I get messages from people every single day. Some send once a month or even less than that. But I have people all over 6 continents who constantly send me Ferrari information. And through the years, these people have become my friends. Maybe I haven't met all of them in person, but they have become true friends with whom I have deep and long and interesting conversations about nothing that has to do with Ferraris. I don't know the total figure, but it's easily in the millions, probably in the tens of millions of dollars that I have helped people save from making a mistake, purchasing the wrong car. One day, a gentleman in the United States contacted me and said he was interested in purchasing a GTO of the 288 variety, and he sent me the VIN and asked me, he said, listen, I'm sitting here at my desk in my den, I'm about to stroke the check. The car looks perfect, I just want to know if there's anything wrong with it. So I emailed him back and I was like, hey, listen, so as far as I know, the car has been pretty nice for a while. But when it was brand new, like 3 years old, somebody heavily wrecked it. It needed to be returned to the factory in Italy where it underwent repairs. And that's what happened. And he didn't want to buy a repaired car, even if it was factory repaired. So he called the selling dealer and he explained to them, I just found out the true history of this car. I'm not going to be buying it. And 5 minutes later, the dealer started calling me and just would not stop. And I just kept ignoring the phone call. There's nothing I can do about that. There's nothing I can do. If you try to sell somebody a car and it's not legit and I know about it, I'm gonna tell them. I always thought that the only way you could be attached to a mark like Ferrari was to own one, or write a book, or be a race car driver, or something like that. It didn't dawn on me at first that starting and maintaining a database would eventually inextricably link me to the mark I so love. And that has been an accidental and much beloved consequence. For other car enthusiasts out there, I hope this makes it clear to them that if they feel like they can't financially be involved with the mark, they can still get involved in other ways. I did. I had no idea it would turn out this way, but they should actually feel like they can too become inextricably linked with the mark in a number of unique ways.
Are you looking for the perfect gift for yourself or the automotive enthusiast in your life this holiday season? Well, look no further than Celebrity Machines. They make metal stamped, screen accurate replicas of the license plates that you'll see on the cars in the movies and television shows that you love. They've got almost every one you could possibly imagine. And in fact, if you've gotten one of our Car Trek license plates or the Japanese license plate from my Lamborghini Diablo SV, those were also from Travis. So you may already have some Celebrity Machines license plates hanging up in your garage or in the background of your Zoom calls. But regardless, check them out now. If you go to the link in the description below or use the code VINwiki at checkout, they're going to give you 20% off of your order. So check them out now, get some great gifts, and thank them for their support of VINwiki.